fascinating to hear you talk about this because I feel like most people, when they think of Bill Wiley, certainly patients, but even your colleagues, they think of brilliant surgeon, great
Correct.
clinician, innovator, always on the cutting edge, trying out the latest things, involved in industry, clinical trials, research. But then there's this whole other aspect to your life, at least professionally, let's say, that has very much been a small business owner and growing a practice, growing an organization, and now being involved with private equity. I would think that before even private equity, I'm trying to just think about how you even partition your time because it takes so much focus and mental energy and time out of your day to just see patients and deliver great quality surgery, great quality outcomes. And now it's like after hours, you're dealing with the business, the logistics end of things, the professional, interpersonal aspects of being responsible for 200 employees and their families and being able to put food on their table. And now you're taking it to the next level, even where on top of just within your own group, now you're part of a large organization, you're having a say there. I would think that maybe some of the financial strain or issues or worries, or maybe with private equity, have been alleviated. But I would think now you're busier than you've ever been.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've kind of traded certain things, trading one thing for the other. And so, with when it was me and my partners running the practice, I can't tell you how many evenings we burned, sitting in a boardroom, making decisions, making, really hard decisions about, what healthcare insurance to provide for our patient, for our team, and sort of seeing, let's say, health insurance costs going up every year, 5-10%, and thinking, gosh, how can we afford this? If it goes up 10% next year, it's going to tip the scales. And, that decision versus, let's say, oh gosh, every little decision, the call center. Well, do we want to have automated call center or have somebody, physical people answering every phone call? Well, we want to have the best service, but what is the best service? And every little minute decision became, truly sort of make or break it seemed for us. And and we had our day jobs, seeing patients throughout the day, and then in the evenings we'd working through the business. And those were some of the most exciting times, but certainly without a doubt the most stressful times. I mean, even simple things like working with banking relationships, working through the credit crisis. You might not understand how that affected small businesses, but without a doubt, I always assumed if you're paying a mortgage on a note, if you're writing the check every month, that you're never going to get a call from the bank. But then we learned about things like technical default, and we're like, well, what's technical default? And technical default is when they reassess the value of your business and they say, you know what, we don't know if eye care is as profitable as it once was. And so that note that you had, I think we're just going to call it, and why don't you just pay it all back next month? And I'm thinking, well, if we could have paid it off, we would have paid it off. And how can we pay it off in one month? And it's kind of like if you owned a home and all of a sudden the loan to value ratio went upside down, and then the banker said, you know what, we just want you to pay that note off. And you're thinking, well, now if we're upside down, there's no way we can pay that off. And so, having, that type of banking pressure, it seemed like going through the credit crisis, if we wanted to buy a toothbrush for the practice, they were like, well, show us how that's going to make profit. And so, a lot of people say, well, it's private equity, all about the bottom line, and you're going to have that pressure. I'll be honest, we had those same pressures, with any traditional banking. To grow a practice, you're going to need some sort of banking relationship. It's very hard to just self-fund it. So you're going to have the local bank, and when times are good, the local bank is happy to give you those funds to, to buy the new, laser, the new OCT or whatever it is. But as soon as financial times change a little bit, those banks are under pressure. They have their bosses looking at, what is the value of that business? How much has been loaned to that business? Is their loan to value proper? Just like owning a home. And so there's always those pressures. And so going from sort of completely privately owned to private equity, I see that there's always been that type of pressure, but at least now it's falling on somebody else's shoulders, not so much my own.